Are you prepared for a disaster? Statistically speaking, you, the listener, right now, most likely is not, even though you most likely think that you are. Studies have shown that Americans are not really prepared for a disaster, but yet if you ask them that they believe that they are prepared for a disaster. So I'm going to share with you a little bit later some of my bug out system here, what I've got. But I've got both a SIP and a bug out system in play because the strategies are different. And you really have to think about that right now and plan what is the best strategy for you, shelter in place or bug out for your situation, for your mobility situation, your family situation, your city situation, where you are. There are a lot of things to take into effect. So I'm going to read this on how to prepare your home for coronavirus. And as we go through, I'm also going to show you some of the things that I have in my personal bug out bag. I'm not going to show you my big bag because, well, that one, obviously for safety issues, I want to keep some of that to myself. But we'll read this, and then I'll show you some of my stuff. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is telling Americans that they should be prepared for the possibility of a COVID-19 outbreak in their community. And there are places that are saying, be prepared for 2 days, be prepared for 3 days. Yeah, okay, be prepared for 2 months is the ideal. Be prepared for 2 months. Me personally, I'm prepared for extreme long term no matter what, whether it's shelter in place or bug out. But I tend to have a few skills that are a little bit rare in today's day and age that have helped me survive, and I have the scars to prove them. But what does preparedness look like in practice? The short answer, don't panic, but do prepare. Imagine this. You have two scenarios. You can have it, but not need it, which would be the best scenario. Or you need it, but not have it, which would be the worst case scenario. But you would rather have it, and then the world goes on, and everything dies out, and it's puppy dogs and rainbows and butterflies flying out everybody's asses, and you're happy, and okay, so you can take your stuff camping. Awesome. That means not only contingency planning, but also good old-fashioned preparedness planning for your family, says Rebecca Katz, director of the Center for Global Health Science and Security at Georgetown University. In other words, what you do in case of a possible hurricane or other natural disaster. Yeah, planning. Planning is everything. Are you going to shelter in place? Are you going to bug out? Are you going to do a mix of both? Because both are going to be heavy laden in different ways. Bug out when you're out there and you believe that you have long-term survival, needs out there. Your survival needs are totally different than when you are shelter in place. Some of the tools are the same. There's obviously going to be overlapping, but the strategy is different. And these are things that you really need to talk about with you, your family, you and yours, whoever it is that you're surviving with, or if you're surviving on your own. We spoke with Katz and other health experts about common sense things you can do to be ready should the virus hit where you live. Should I stock up on food and meds? The reason to stock up on certain products now isn't so much to avoid potential shortages in the event of an outbreak, but to practice what experts call social distancing. Basically, you want to avoid crowds to minimize your risk of catching the disease. If COVID-19 is spreading in your community, the last place you want to be is in line at a crowded grocery store or drugstore. And that is absolutely true. So this setup here that I have is a basic mix of, hey, not sure if we're going to shelter in place, not sure if we're going to have to bug out. I'm not going to show you the full kit because I do want to keep some of the things for my own personal safety reasons a little bit of a secret, but just in case needing to bug out, you are definitely going to want a heavy, at least 18-inch machete. You are not going to want one of those little freaking icky-dinky, little pick-your-teeth freaking things. No. You want good weight on the end. You want that weight out here. You want a nice, big, thick end because you want that weight when you're chopping wood to be right there, right at the tip. You want all that momentum, all that centrifugal force to be able to chop through wood or, if need be, other things if you need to chop through them. Obviously, there are other self-defense things that I cannot show you, but yes, obviously I am an advocate saying defend yourself and get the tools you need to defend yourself. I'm not going to go into defending ourselves. I'm going to go into more of the idea that okay, we're humans. There are going to be bad people. We all understand there's bad people. We all understand how to handle that. This is more of how to handle, survival. So we're going under the aspects of, yes, this is mainly going to be used for cutting wood, cutting branches, trimming things that you need when you need to build your shelter, things like that. You are definitely going to want some sort of a mess kit. Don't forget the all-important toilet paper, okay? I see people all the time. They forget the importance of toilet paper. I would recommend having a couple of dead lighters as well. You also want some water purification tablets just in case. Iodide as well. Another thing that people seem to overlook. Chapsticks and things like that. Trust me. When those chap lips are out there and you're thinking, you're in a survival situation, you're doing this, you're not even realizing you're doing it. Wow, there you go. You definitely are going to want cordage. God, why do people underestimate cordage? Don't ever underestimate cordage. Have cordage. Have cordage. You're definitely going to want a hatchet. Survival knife with things in there. I don't use that mainly as a knife. This is more of a workhorse for like prying and things like that. I've got plenty of other knives. I am not worried about it. You're going to want your disinfectants, gauze pads, bleed stop, second skin. I also have sleep aids. I also have wake aids, things to help keep you awake if need be. I also have spare blades just in case. And this is not an extensive kit. This is just a basic, hey, you know what? If you want to go by the guidelines and be able to survive for a couple days, well, then here you go. Okay? Medicines, as they were talking about, yes, I took a bit of a different approach. I do have a smaller bit of medicine here. That is pain relievers. I also have other kind of medicines, antibiotics, ointments, burn creams, things of that nature, different headache medicines, things like that. Fire starting kits, lighters. Don't underestimate the values of dead lighters as well. Dead lighters have millions and millions and millions of uses. Trust me, they sure do. Non-battery powered flashlight of your choice, solar, crank, whatever. I would recommend having a couple of them because, they do break. One is none and two is one. It's all about redundancy. You don't want to be in a survival situation and need it and not have it, or have it broken, or have it substandard. You're going to want to also get some sort of waterproof bag for other things as well that you want to keep more waterproof. You're also going to definitely, without a doubt, additional toilet paper. Now, some of the things that I have in here are more of, hey, you know what? These could possibly be good for trade as well in a bad situation. A lot of these drugs that we get are made in China. So I did get, and I'm not going to show you all of them, but I did get some other things like bigger bottles of different kinds of medicines. Reason for those ones are more of trade just in case. Just in case. Like I said, I got some bleed stops, some more military grade type medical equipment as well. I'm not going to show you all those. They're quite boring. Obviously cold compresses, things of that nature. That nasty, disgusting emergency food, different varieties, different flavors, stuff like that. These are all things that you're going to want to think about. Emergency water, you're definitely going to want emergency water. I have plenty of that. I have it divided up into both my shelter in place and bug out and this older bag here that I've actually had this bag set up for quite a while. Just never had an opportunity to use it. But I always have been an advocate of, hey, be prepared. What is wrong with being prepared? I know for a long time there was a stigma around it. Preppers and end of the world, this and that. Well, you know what? What is wrong with being prepared just in case? It sits in your closet and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't get in the way, and as you're going throughout your day, one day you're like, a month later, you're like, hey, you know what? Here's this thing that might actually come in handy, a fire starter kit. I definitely have quite a few different fire starter kits. I've got some compression fire starters. I got some magnesium sticks. I highly recommend, highly recommend 9-volt battery, steel wool, You take the 9-volt battery, you take a piece of steel wool, you pull a piece of the steel wool off. You touch the 9-volt battery to the steel wool and it will ignite. But always make sure to carry the 9-volt battery and the steel wool separately. You don't want that thing igniting in your pack. Trust me. All right, so let's continue reading this. If you take daily medications, for example, blood pressure pills, make sure you have enough to last a couple weeks, suggests Katz, as long as you can get approval for an extended supply from your insurance provider. And trust me, I went to all the stores. I have some pictures of it. The shelves at Walmarts and Targets and Walgreens of headache medicines and stomach medicines and second skin and things like that they're almost totally bare. Almost totally bare. I was like, wow, this looks like every zombie movie ever. All the store stocks are starting to dwindle. Also, worth pre-buying fever reducers. Absolutely. Acetaminophen. I have a bunch of acetaminophen. Not this one. This one. And that one. And that one. I have a bunch of acetaminophen because it is a fever reducer. That's very important. Don't underestimate the value of that. And when I say value of that, not only the value of that to you, but the value of that in trade as well. These things are going to be a little more scarce because they do come from China. Believe it or not, most of what you go to the store and you look around, most of what you're seeing with your eyes is made in China. And we're kind of in this weird situation where our freaking nuts are in China's hands, and right now China is squeezing our nuts and we're singing high pitch. Man, think about adding enough non-perishable foods to your pantry to carry you through for a couple of weeks. I have actually a sea bag that is filled up with non-perishable foods and other food items and things that are food, water related, can openers, more spare water, things like that. I'm prepared basically for shelter in place or bug out. My personal strategy is bug out. And if you have a bug out strategy, you want to make sure that anybody that you care about have a meeting point just in case. Hey, I'm going to bug out every Tuesday at when the sun is high, because let's just assume the worst, right? Plan for the worst, hope for the best, right? That electricity's gone, your phone is out, your battery's dead, you haven't planned ahead, and you don't have a way to pre-charge your phone. Because believe it or not, a phone is a great survival tool, man. You can take notes on it, you can take pictures. If you have a group with you can take pictures of something and show it to the group rather than trying to describe something to the group. You can take video, you can document, you can use the flashlight. If service comes back on, you can use that. There are a lot of uses for a cell phone, and it's worthwhile to have one of those flashlights that has a USB that you can pump it and charge a cell phone with and keep a cell phone charged up. They're valuable survival tools, believe it or not. Don't disregard your cell phone. It is a valuable tool. Brancho Sanchez suggests having on hand your go-to sickbed foods like chicken or vegetable broth and crackers in case of illness, as well as hydrating drinks such as Gatorade and Pedialyte for kids. Though so far kids seem less vulnerable to COVID-19. Yes, they do. In fact, COVID-19 is almost hitting people 30 and above, it seems, which is quite odd, if you ask me. That's because if you do get sick, you want to be ready to write it out at home if need be. So far, 80% of COVID-19 cases have been mild. Think cold or flu symptoms. Yeah, 80%, but 20% are severe. Special cleaning supplies needed? Well, we don't know. I went out and I picked up a whole bunch of Clorox and things. I figured, well, it's flying off the shelves, if nothing else, And you do want to keep disinfectants and things like that at hand during an emergency situation. Because if hospitals aren't around, we go back a couple 100 years, well, you know what? A small scratch could actually do you some real damage if it's all dirty and whatnot. So, and wash your hands, people. Men, we are bad about that. We are notoriously bad about that. Wash your hands. We still don't know exactly how long the coronavirus that causes COVID-19 can survive on surfaces, but Stephen Morse, a professional of epidemiology at Columbus University Medical Center, says that we know from other coronaviruses that most household cleaners, such as bleach, wipes, or alcohol, will kill them. 9 days is what studies have said before in the past. 9 days. Even wiping down surfaces with soap and water should do the trick, he says, because this coronavirus has a lipid envelope around it, like a coat that keeps the RNA. RNA is ribonucleic acid. It is the messenger form of deoxyribonucleic acid. It is the one that actually sends the messages from the deoxyribonucleic acid to the cells, ribonucleic acid, inside the viral particle. And soap is a detergent that can break down lipids. We use them to take grease and oil, which is a lipid, off our dishes, he notes. So at least it's not spore forming. If it was a spore forming spore forming. If it was spore forming, then we'd be in real trouble, because spore forming can survive high temperatures, low temperatures, and alcohol as well. If COVID-19 does start circulating in your community, or there's someone sick at home, plan on cleaning faucets. Hold on a second here. Oh, advertisers. All right. Plan on cleaning surfaces that get touched frequently, such as kitchen counters and bathroom faucets, several times a day, says Dr. Trish Pearl, Chief of Infectious Disease Division at UT Southwestern Medical Center. So clean. Get yourself cleaning chemicals and just go crazy all the time, basically. But here's something I haven't heard anybody discuss. What happens if we actually turn this thing into a super virus because it develops an immunity to all the cleaning chemicals? I wonder if that's something that anybody has thought of. Because we know that a lot of formerly curable diseases and viruses and bacteria are no longer curable because we have used things like alcohol and sanitizing things so much that these things have started to build immunities. That's an interesting one. Chief of Infectious Disease Division at UT Southwestern Medical Center is the one that says clean. That advice, she says, comes from studies on other diseases where they've shown that if you do clean up the environment, you can actually decrease the amount of viruses that is on hard surfaces significantly. Duh! What about face masks? The science on whether it's helpful to wear face masks out in public is really, really mixed, as we reported in depth. For starters, it depends on what kind of mask you're wearing and whether you use it correctly. Some infectious disease experts are reluctant to recommend that people wear masks as a preventative measure because they can provide a false sense of security. You put on a mask, all of a sudden you think you're secure, you're invincible, you're invulnerable, and you get into a situation where you actually get infected. And that happens on all kinds of things. Don't lure yourself into a false sense of security in anything, ever. What experts do agree on is that wearing a mask is a good idea if you are sick, so you can reduce the chances that you'll infect others, whether it's family members at home or people at the doctor's office if you go in to be seen. So yes, please do us a favor, and if you are sick, cover your cough. Pearl says that wearing a mask when sick is especially a good idea if you live with someone whose immune system is compromised or is elderly, since people in their 60s and above seem to be the most vulnerable to COVID-19. And yes, they do. Yes, they do. Some researchers suggest that wearing a mask can help protect you if you're caring for a sick family member, but only if you wear it all the time in the presence of the sick person, and if you are careful not to touch the front of it, which could be contaminated with pathogens. And everybody does it when they wear a mask. What? Hands immediately. Hands there. Yeah. Quit adjusting it. Yeah. Oh, the nose thing. Yeah. No, stop. You're doing it wrong. Put it on. Sides. Those little strings right there. That's how you handle it. That's how you put it on. You snug it tight. All right. Wear gloves. You touch the person. Change your gloves. Put new gloves on. Touch the mask. Otherwise, the outside of your gloves are contaminated. What to do about work and telecommuting. Yeah. Tell work to go kiss off. We're not even going to read that. What is the plan if you get sick? Stay indoors and do the rest of us a favor and cover your damn cough. If you show early signs of illness, like a fever or a dry cough, Brancho says you should call your doctor's office, but don't necessarily head straight to the emergency room or urgent care where you might infect others. And it happens all the time. Something like this happens, people panic, emergency rooms get overloaded, and without realizing it, what they end up doing is they end up spreading the thing that, and most likely they didn't even have it. So, stop. Don't do it. Don't panic. Do you really need to go into the office? Can we work this out through the phone? Of course, if you're having trouble breathing, if you're dehydrated, that's a different story. Go. Absolutely. Do you have a plan for kids and older relatives? This is where you have to start thinking about your survival strategy. Are you going to shelter in place? Do you have elderly? Do you have young children? These are things you got to think of, and you don't want to have to think of them at the last second, do you? Pearl and Kat suggest you start figuring out now what you would do if daycare centers or schools start closing because of an outbreak. Do you have a backup child care plan in place? Having a plan for these kids... Having a plan for these kinds of eventualities now, instead of like it happened in China where one minute things were open and the next minute they weren't, can be very helpful and a lot less disruptive, Pearl says. Yeah, you don't want to think about these things at the last minute. You want to be able to think about these things and have a plan in place and hopefully, God willing, never have to use that plan. But if you have to use that plan, you want that plan in place. And if possible, you want to practice with anybody that is in that plan repeatedly. Make it a game. You know, make it a, hey, we're having a zombie survival Sundays. All right, we got a minute and 30 seconds. Zombies are coming in the door. Let's pack it up and make a game out of it. And you pack up the car and you go camping or something. You know, make it fun for the kids. And they'll learn. And you make it fun and it'll be something that sticks in their head. You want your family to be prepared. I want your family to be prepared. I want you to be prepared. I'm good. I'm prepared. I ain't worried about myself. I've always told everybody, if there is a situation where survival is of the necessity and we've got to go old school, like we got to go back old school survival techniques, mixed in with, of course, new survival techniques, I'm the one that you want to be around. Because if there's a way to survive, I will find a way to survive. Trust me, I'm good. You've heard it over and over and over and over and over and over, but one of the best ways to protect yourself from infection from COVID-19 or flu or cold or anything is frickin' wash your hands, you dirty ass men. Wash your damn hands. Other than that, those are some pretty basic ideas. I'm not going to get really into it. I do have ideas of doing maybe a video, because, I mean, there are some survival techniques that, for some reason, people just don't know. I don't know if maybe it was just propagated, or maybe the certain situations I've been in my life and the training that I've had in my life was, you know, something that just makes it seem like common sense. But, you know, like dead lighters, people throw away dead lighters all the time and this and that. Man, do you know how good a survival tool a dead lighter is? Or even 5 or 6. Heck, you give me 10 dead lighters and I could do wonders with them. There are really cool things that you can do with them. Candles, there's things you can do with candles that people don't even think about, that I've never heard anybody talk about. And it's like, man, these things. So maybe I'll do some videos on that, some survival techniques that I see that are lacking. I'm not talking about the good old Rambo survival stuff that everybody knows, hack and slash and freaking make you a spear out of a knife with some sticks and cordage. Okay, I know, yeah, everybody's got that. I mean those weird little things that are like, wow, man, what? You want a timed explosive? You can take this little plastic vial and put it on a light bulb, hold it there till the tip just barely melts and it sticks there, and walk away, and you got yourself about 30 seconds before you got yourself a little bit of an explosion with the particular kind of chemical that is inside that little vial that you can get pretty much everywhere, under almost any kitchen sink, or, you know, I mean, really crazy little things. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys are interested in videos like that, and you know what? If this video gets the most likes out of any video, then I will start a series of some survival techniques that I think maybe you guys would find interesting. But I care about you guys. I genuinely do. I love you guys. I will see you guys on the next one. And give me a thumbs up, a like, a comment, a subscribe, something. I love you guys. Bye.